I'll tell you what has not aged very well, and that is The Wire in my eyes. Now, the quality's off the charts. It's incredible. So I'm in season two,
Right.
and I still like it.
Okay.
The acting, the writing, the cinematography. It's the Breaking Bad guy behind the camera for like a lot of the seasons. I think I read.
Okay.
It's the police brutality. it's the police brutality. I like on one. I'm on CNN, like watching about those 5 cops that beat that man to death, and then I'm watching The Wire, and the good guys are beating a guy just like that, where they're like holding him up, and then like the next episode, a character that we're supposed to think of as like a doofus mostly, but a good guy, blinds a 14-year-old for leaning on his car. Like the kid shows up later with an iPad. He's like running drugs through a parking lot. They just beat the shit out of him.
That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, there's a great scene where one of the like drug dealers or whatever like pops a cop, punches him in the face in like an arrest type situation. He's an older cop, so he goes down hard, and they start beating every cop within reach. And you look, and here comes Kima, the female cop, and she is sprinting, and you think, thank God Kima's here to like save
She's
this
an
kid. Thank God Kima is there. She's sprinting so she can get her licks in. When she gets there, she's like, "You don't never hit a police," and she's using her, but she's got a flashlight, and she's like stomping this kid out, and like they beat the kid to like half to death. You don't never hit a police, and it's like, damn, that's our best, like smartest character we have on the scene. Like, there's no one else who will show up and say, that's too much of a beating. If anything, the people who aren't there would want a more severe beating to be taking place because all the cops are dirty. Like the whole thing that everybody goes, yeah, get him about Omar is Omar lies in court on a guy and sends him to life in prison. Like that's their big win for the good guys. McNulty's like looking at Stringer Bell like, yeah, we're not on the streets anymore. They were in the courtroom. And it's like, dude, you just had that guy lie under oath to on this other guy. Now it was true what he said, but he wasn't there to see it. You know, he's like, yeah, I saw him kill that guy. No, you didn't. You just know he did it.
Hibbers.
Anyway, it doesn't age well because the cops are such like lying pieces of shit. The way they'll intimidate people into getting into their cars. He's like, we'll play it like she doesn't have a choice. Like, come on, get in the car. We're going downtown. And then they try that on one of the Polak guys, and he's like, the fuck we are. We're going anywhere. If you want me to go anywhere with you, you got to put me under arrest. In that case, I want to talk to my shop steward, and he's going to call the local 133rd's lawyer downtown, and he's going with me in that car. And they're like, fuck you, fat man. And they walk away all defeated. They didn't have anything else. They were just trying to bully him.
I don't know.
Where do you guys stack rank? Or I guess, what's your favorite show of all time? I bet it would have been Game of Thrones up until recent. Oh,
The Wire.
Rank The Wire over Sopranos?
Yeah.
I was pegging you for Sopranos.
No, dude, The Wire is the best show of all time. The second season's a little bit weak, but I still like it. Like The Wire has amazing writing, great character development, amazing characters. You like the good guys, you like the bad guys. Everyone has motivations for their actions. No one is perfect. They're all very flawed individuals. That the higher up management in both the criminal organization and the police department are all backstabbing, crooked, trying to rise up in the ranks and like doing whatever they can. There's a great scene where one of the underlings, he's like middle management, is teaching someone to play chess, and they're like, what, you just stay a pawn? What if I get to the back? He's like, no, a pawn's a pawn and a king's a king. Pawn's always going to be a pawn. And he's having this little realization to himself that like, I'm never going to get out of middle management here. These guys are lording over me forever. I work for them. They're the ones making the money. He's having this great like introspective moment, but nobody around him gets it because they are his lessers intellectually and in the organization while he tries to teach them chess. They're playing checkers with chess pieces before you got there. It's a great show. And
that scene in particular
titties.
is one of the best scenes of any TV show ever on anything.
A lot of people think that's the best show of all time. Fantastic.
The Wire is good too. When I told you about The Wire, I was like, yeah, you really got to pay attention. It's difficult to keep up with The Wire. I think I'm on my second watching. I'm having a much easier time now. I'm like, why did I think this was so complex? Like all the characters and the names and stuff, I'm doing much better.
Well, I'm only halfway into episode 1, like I said, but I can tell I'm going to love this show. Like the acting's fantastic. What's his name? the smart black guy who's
D.
like the him
D.
who like the first scene he's in is like coaching someone through a court case, and that was really cool. So yeah.
Oh wait, the smart black guy, does he have facial hair?
He's really
Barksdale?
famous now. Idris Elba is the actor's name. I don't remember what his character's name is though.
There's a couple smart.
Stringer Bell.
Okay, Stringer Bell. Okay. Anyway, there's a couple smart black guys in the show, and I like that. I like that the people who run the drug enterprise, some of them are a little dumb thuggy, and some of them are intelligent businessmen, or just another kind of smart, like a socially kind of smart, where they understand how to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like him because it seems like it's setting up that he's going to be the big thorn in the side of the cops the whole time. Because whereas his underlings might get out of control or something, like seems like he's got a tight fist wrapped around every little aspect of the business. So I like that character already. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Stringer Bell. I love that guy's character. I like Dee's character. I like most of the characters in it. The detectives, I won't spoil anything with this. They all develop into interesting storylines too. I like what they do with them. So I think you'll enjoy the series.
I like the over-the-top, dressing like he's on the street, but he's a cop white guy detective who's like, lady, you take care of the inputting data. Me and my partner, we're street guys or whatever.
Is he kind
the
of
hell it
chunky
is.
strong?
Like, he's junky strong. He's wearing an enormous shirt and big pants and his like sideways hat. And I guess that was
in
cool
season 2, I think. All the bad guys are white. And he's very excited because it's his chance to like work with the drug dealers and to, he's not there taking pictures from a block away anymore. Mm-hmm. He's the guy who's like dealing with all the other bad guys because he fits.
Season 2 is the shittiest one. You guys?
I think it is. Yeah.
I had a friend of mine. I was texting him. I was like, I'm just finished Sopranos. And he's like, oh, awesome. And I'm like, I'm about to start The Wire. And he goes, awesome. Just like skip season 2, and it's the best show ever made.
Season, I mean, it's just not as good. It's still a good season. It takes a little while to quote unquote get the band back together, like get all the detectives like back in their squad again. But I think Frank Sabatka is pretty interesting. It's the Ziggy character is the most annoying part. His son, Frank Sapatka's son, is this piece of shit, skinny fucker who's just always just fucking everything up.
You know why I liked Ziggy? Because I loved that actor in Generation Kill.
I haven't seen that in a really long time.
Oh, he's the guy that drives a lot and eats the Rip Fuel, like energy pills.
I watched it one time. I don't remember very well.
Anyway, I loved him in Generation Kill, and I just saw a lot of the same characteristics in the same actor, and I was, I get it.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's a great show. Or miniseries, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that Skarsgård guy in it from True Blood.
Yeah, the good-looking blonde dude.
Yep.
What'd you call him? Skarsgård? Is that the actor's name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's his last name. His brother is the one who plays It in It.
The clown?
I'm taking in a little more media than I do when there's not a pandemic on. Like probably a lot of people are. Mm-hmm. It looks like we're wrapping up our response to the pandemic.
So tell me about The Wire.
So The Wire, this character Zig, I mean, season 2, the Doc season, and I think that I underestimated when you guys said that's the Doc season. I didn't think every fucking scene would be at this bar or at this dock. I'm like 5 episodes in to season 2 or so, and I'm already getting bored with the dock shit. Ziggy, the son of the union guy, I hate him more than Ramsey. I hate him more than Jeff King Joffrey. He is so unlikable. I can't get over him. I want him to die so bad. I loved that scene where he's talking shit and being like, "You better have my full money next time. You think I'm playing with you? You know who you're messing with?" Wearing his $2,000 Italian leather jacket, and then immediately after that, he gets in his car, robbed by a bunch of actual gangsters, and he's like weeping and crying. I loved that scene because fuck Ziggy. But yeah, this guy, he's got to die. He's too. I can't decide yet if he's so unlikable he's gonna die, or if he's so unlikable they're gonna.
I have empathy for Ziggy. So here's the thing. He wasn't gifted with any kind of like physique. You know, this guy's biceps are no bigger than his wrists.
He's got a huge cock.
True. That's we'll circle to that. But like, he lives in a world of like union workers, tough guys. You know, a place where ability to win a fight like matters more so than somebody's IT department. Mm-hmm. But he's born into last place. He just is. There's nothing he can do about it. And when he's dealing with drug dealers or all the crime side of it, he's unequipped. You know, he's just unable to compete. And he's trying to be tough. He's trying to, and his father left some pretty big footsteps or shoes to fill, you know, so he's trying to be the man, but he's just born into perma child. And like, what's he supposed to do? How is he supposed to thrive in this environment of dock workers?
I see where you're coming from there a bit, but also it's like, I don't think he was born in last place. He has a very powerful father within the union. And if he were a halfway smart guy, I feel like he could just be like, all right, I'm going to put my nose to the grindstone here, really demonstrate my value on the docks, and naturally have some upward mobility because of my father's place. And instead, he's like, all right, my dad's hardcore. He's in the union. I'm going to be hardcore with drug dealers. And he's just not. He doesn't have the vibe for it. He looks like a bitch, sounds like a bitch. I feel so bad for his like tall friend who is constantly trying to be like, hey, Ziggy, man, like, can we like settle down a bit? And can you just take the money and put it in your savings account, put it in, Chase Bank, and then that's it. And then he'll show
that's his cousin.
His cousin. And so I feel bad for the cousin because he seems to be, it seems like Ziggy is going to very soon, hasn't happened yet, put him in a position to do something horrible, would be my guess based on how the plot's going. Because
you'll like how it all turns out, don't worry.
And I hope his cousin survives. And I do like the union boss too. He seems like a no-nonsense kind of guy. Yeah, Frank Sabatka, I like him. I like
Frank Sabatka. I had empathy for also, right? So Frank Sabatka does some bad things, but fuck, it's a means to an end, right? He's trying to. Frank Sabatka is the union leader, and he really cares about the people in his union. And
he's playing the hand he's dealt too. Like it's not like he chose this.
Yeah, so he's doing some bad shit. When other people do bad shit, he's like, man, this is gonna hurt the union, right? Not like that's what he cares about. All the way to his core, he wants the people that he represents to thrive as best as possible, in the best way possible. So even when he decides to break some laws, well, it's not that he wants to be a criminal. He's not self-enriching. He's trying to, I think, bribe politicians or something. So I like that guy.
Yeah, and he helps his own people too. Like when he's like, hey, you want to switch to 47? Totally fine. I'll support you tomorrow. Just take this money, go buy yourself a beer and a shot from whatever bar. And then like it's his money, basically. Like he's keeping his own guys afloat, even though the work isn't coming in. And so I like Frank Sabatka. I like pretty much every character now. I'm pretty bummed out that D died because I liked D too. I did not.
Fuck D. I didn't like D.
No, D was trying to turn straight, and I like that about D.
He was being a dumbass. All D had to do was say, "Yeah, Avon, whatever you say," and he'd have been out of fucking prison.
Yeah, but he also had principle about it, and he was like, I don't want to live like this. And so I like that about D.
Yeah, it's too late to start growing some principles once you're doing fucking 10 years in the state pen.
Was it 20?
It was 10. I thought. No, I'm pretty sure it's 10.
No, it was 20, and they thought he'd serve 10. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Worse. Well, yeah, that's not the time to grow some fucking morals or something like that. Like, no. The time for that was before you made that little trip to NYC to pick up the bag.
I know exactly what you're talking about logically. I'm just saying I liked D as a character. And so when he died, I was very surprised by that, especially the kind of and that's something that I've heard from people is that a lot of the deaths in the show are very unceremonious. Even if they're a very major player, they kill them.
There was who was the chick we all liked from Game of Thrones? She had balls, but she was like 13. Lady...
of Bear Island.
Mormont, maybe?
Yeah.
Mormont. Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. So she had a very ceremonious death where she goes down swinging against a giant or something like that. Dragon, who the fuck knows? Anyway.
Giant.
Was it?
Yeah, very dumb.
And but in The Wire, you just get tapped. You just get choked. Like, there's no big pomp and circumstance around it.
Died in The Wire, it would have been her like looking brave for half a second and then just a foot coming down.
Just an arrow hits her in the head. I'm watching. I'm on the final season right now, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but like a main character is like going about their day. Bop.
If I had to guess, I'd guess Omar, because
No.
Omar is going to survive for a while now.
I don't think I've seen the end, and my guess is McNulty, but I don't know.
I'll be so bummed if they kill McNulty. I like McNulty.
Well, it's last season. Main
You
character.
cheat on your wife, you pay the price.
End of first season. I was trying to tell you without spoiling it, like just how all the endings didn't quite line up. Stringer, scot-free. Barksdale, that's his name, right? Small, 2 years. D is okay. All right. Well, he gets it down to like 18 months.
Yeah, he was put in for 7, but they're saying like he's given a lot of dirt right now where I am.
Kyle's right. It's almost 2 terms. They get 7 and they say I'll be serving 2, which he gets even lower. So it's hard to like I say he got 2 years, but Kyle says he got 7. There's 2 ways to look at it. Anyway, how bad the people were, how senior the people were, is totally unrelated to what kind of sentences they got. And that was the part that it was eye-opening to me. Not shocking. I know criminal justice system can work like that, but the one that really took the biggest fall is not the biggest dude. He's not even the worst dude. And there were other guys who didn't get prison at all. They just didn't have anything on them, but they were way worse. Yeah.
I'm getting real tired of McNulty on the boat. Very, very tired of this.
Get used to it.
It is so fucking boring. And then I was sitting there watching it when Daniels the guy who's the
black cop, black
trainer
detective
in Spartacus.
Yep.
And he's the one, he's like, that I get to pick my own team. And I was like, yes, they're gonna get McNulty off the boat finally. And then the colonel, whatever his name is, I don't recall. It's like, everybody's fine. I'll approve every single person you pick except for McNulty. McNulty stays on a boat. He either drowns or he retires. God damn it! Like I want him back. They seem to portray him as like a total booze hound guy who's like maybe that continues as the show goes on, because like the scene they just showed him is he's so miserable on the boats. He's like waking up and chugging beers before he goes out there because he isn't enthralled by that life whatsoever. So hopefully that changes. If that goes past the second season, I'm not going to be pleased.
In season 3, they make it clear that he's one of like 5 or 6 guys who can pursue major crimes like that.
Good, because I like McNulty and I like Bunk.
Is he the black guy's friend?
Bunk Moreland.
Yeah, I like Bunk. Bunk and McNulty, good team. I like those guys.
Yeah.
They're my favorite little pairing. Second favorite little pairing, or maybe a triage, is the woman who got shot, and then the goofy ass white guy and the black guy, who are kind of like buddy cops in the first season. I like those 3.
Yeah. By the way, that's the guy that plays Cedric Daniels is not the black guy from Spartacus. They don't all look alike, Taylor. Okay.
Jesus, Taylor.
Wait, the guy who
he's not Zenith?
The trainer from Spartacus is the same guy who in the movie 300, who's the messenger who brings the crowns. He brings the crowns and skulls of the kings.
I was watching that, and I was like, man, he really beefed up. That's so funny.
He's skinny as a rail here. Dude must have packed on 40 pounds of solid muscle.
I was literally watching and thinking, and I was like looking up when Spartacus started. I was like, man, this motherfucker got yoked out of nowhere, apparently. But no, I guess different guy.
He was doing more than fighting crime. God damn.
But yeah, I like Daniels a lot. He seems like an honorable guy. He's got some dirt in his past, but I like him.
I want to point this out to Taylor, though. Like is it Negan? Who's the skinny white guy? What's his name?
Ziggy.
Ziggy. Thank you. You hate Ziggy. You're supposed to hate Ziggy. You're bored of McNulty on the boat. They want you to be bored of McNulty on the boat. That's like the pain that you're supposed to endure alongside of him. You have these feelings about Zabaka. He's got flaws, but he's working on behalf of his. The Wire is getting from you everything they're trying to get from you, and to its credit is where I'm headed.
He's right.
No, you're 100% right, and I know I'm supposed to hate Ziggy because some of his.
Well, I didn't think you were.
I know. Like some of his scenes are so over the top rude. Like when he lit a cigarette with $100 bill as these hardworking men are sitting there, like knowing they can't say shit because he's the son of their boss. Effectively, it was like, God, Ziggy. Right after he's given money by his cousin that he's supposed to pay off, and it's like you. And then Ziggy's like, "Oh, I'm flush. You can buy around, but I can't. I'm flush now." And it's like, bitch, I just gave you $2,500 or $2,700 to pay yourself off and get whatever the name of your car is back. So that drove me crazy. I hated that scene.
Princess,
yeah. Get your $2,700, bribe to get your car Princess back.
It's got a 350 in it though.
Everything about that guy is just begging to be respected, and there's nothing that warrants respect. And he just doesn't know how to warrant respect.
I love when they put him up to
the car.
I love when they put him up to hitting that guy, that big dude on the docks. Dude is like 6'1", a solid 230. Like
hitting, killing him.
No.
So Ziggy's got this problem with this big guy on the docks. You'll get to it. This isn't a terrible spoiler.
Oh, you showed me this scene on the show before. Yeah, before I knew it.
It's so good. They're like, come on, just walk up to him and truck him, Ziggy. You're a legend. And the other guy pipes in, yeah, legend of the docks. and they're like pumping Ziggy up for days. They're pumping him up until they're all by like the coffee truck by the docks. And the big boy like orders a cappuccino, right? Like, and Ziggy's like, cappuccino, what a pussy. And they go, yeah, he just looks big. And I'm like, I'm thinking like, yeah, he does look big.
He's bigger than acting off the water near the dock.
He's built like Taylor, but taller. Like, this is a big boy. And he's got his back turned to Ziggy with a hard hat on. He's like doing some actual man construction type shit with a forklift, checking inventory outdoors. And like, just walk up to him, give him your best punch, and walk away. Truck his ass, Ziggy. And Ziggy just like walks up and goes for a kidney punch. And the guy just turns around like, the fuck? And just starts slapping the shit out of him, beats the shit out of him, and then puts him on the forklift, lifts him up, puts him on top of a fucking container 12, 15 feet in the air, pulls the forklift back down and goes, anybody lets him down, I'm whipping your ass, and leaves him up there.
There's more. So I remember it a little differently. He goes for the kidney shot like he says, but I don't think the guy beat him up. I don't think he gave him the honor of getting beat up. He just kind of like manhandled him and took him to the forklift where they put him on top of shipping containers too high. And he puts him up there, tells no one else that they're allowed to help him down. And the whole time Ziggy's yelling, "You gave me bad advice! You motherfuckers all gave me bad advice! That was bad advice!
And they're all like, yeah, no shit, because he's not only an asshole, he's an dumbass
idiot,
simultaneously. Yeah. He has no redeeming qualities, none whatsoever. Like, at no point are you ever like, well, he did that one. No, he didn't do anything like that.
There's up for Ziggy to die soon. Hopefully.
We'll see. Or maybe a fate worse than death, some would say.
Staying in the show?
He'll be there in season 3. He's going to the police academy. He's McNulty's new partner. That's how McNulty gets off the boat.
I would genuinely stop watching. I'd be like, no, off. I'm gonna go watch Sunny and Family Guy reruns again. I'm not. Yeah, that would turn me off the show.
Major Ziggy, what should we do?
Yeah, Ziggy.
I like when the main gangster was B&B Barksdale is in prison. And he's eating fucking KFC. And he doesn't just have a little KFC. He's got like the family pack.
He's got sides. Yeah.
He's got the fucking family sides. He's got like mashed potatoes and slaw. And I'm like, that's good shit he's got. And that's the next thing he says. He's like, you better get in this. This is some good shit. Yeah, it is. God damn.
As he's doing that, you can see an Xbox 3, or not even 360, just an Xbox controller sitting there. And I was like, that was the one thing that I saw when they had D come in that I was like, D, he's living the dream. Yeah. He's eating as much KFC as he wants, playing video games all day. Join the winning team here. But I did still have some respect for D wanting to get out, even if it was the dumb move. I liked him.
I never, ever liked D. I think I just don't like how that actor looks. And I'm not talking about race or anything like that. He's just a weird looking fucking dude, right? With his bug eyes and that gap in his teeth.
He's a little baby faced. Yeah.
I see what you're talking about. That didn't bother me. I kind of like that he had a position of leadership in spite of that look. On the other hand, he was relative of the leader, so that's probably why he did.
Yeah, he's being carried along, and he murdered that guy.
Smart. And which one did he murder?
At when we're first introduced to him, the whole reason for The Wire and the show is that Dee murdered a guy when he was running one of the towers instead of either taking an ass whipping or using his fist. Instead of fighting it out, he pulled out a gun and murdered a man in the lobby of one of the towers that they were selling drugs out of. Then he got demoted, and then that's how The Wire gets started up, because Judge Kalen or whatever, he's like, how did I just lose this case? How did you guys lose this case? And the McNulty explains it to him, and the ball gets
rolling. That's when he gets moved to the pit and everything. And I don't remember. Okay, so under him in the pit is the guy who's dead now, who plays Black Panther. I don't remember his name.
Michael B. Jordan.
Wallace was his name. Poot. Don't give two shits about Poot.
Is he the one with the do-rag thing?
No. What's the do-rag guy's name?
It's something with a D.
I like him. I can see his character developing and growing, and he's interesting. I like him.
Yeah. One of my favorite characters is Michael. You'll meet him in, I think, season 3 or maybe I think season 4. Actually, Michael is like an 8th grader who has to really mature quickly, and he's like a badass 8th grader, and I like his character a lot. He's a real badass.
Yeah. Well, it's been another fantastic recommendation. Eric, is anybody else jealous of my quarantine time that I had The Sopranos and The Wire to watch fresh? That's high quality content. It's great.
Yeah.
I never.
It's entertaining. It's really entertaining.
I never finished The Wire either. There's a lot of these HBO shows that are
season 2 can be a downer for a lot of people. A lot of people dislike season 2 and the final season, but it sounds a little like I'm being real choosy and picky now. But seasons 1, 3, and I think 4 are very, very good. But 1 is killer. I love The Wire. But when I watch it, the second season, I don't care about those white characters, all those Polacks living down on the docks.
Yeah,
don't care about the problems. I want in the drug gang. I want to know a game. I want to know what Weebay and the boys are doing. What Marlowe's up to. No, that's a good fucking show.
Yeah, HBO man has all the best programming. They just brought back.
It's changed.
Well, who's better than HBO
Apple.
right now?
I think Apple's better. I think if we're talking about who's made the best shit in the last 2 years, 3 years, relevant, recent, For All Mankind to me is one of the best shows on television. It's an alternate history where the Soviets made it to the moon before us, and we were like, no, you fucking don't. We'll space race into the 90s with you bitches, and they do. And you follow the astronauts in the program, and people who start out as astronauts in the Mercury program end up running NASA. We go that far through time following these characters, and they do cool shit. We go to war on the moon. We're blowing shit up. We're making moon bases. We're moon mining.
You know how in real life, the Russians beat us to every notable space thing, first man in space, first person in space, first spacecraft to circle the Earth. Maybe that's a satellite.
Spacecraft, two docking, everything.
Space, everything. And so we just kept moving the goal line until it was first man on the moon, and then we're like, we won, game over. We're actually
that was the most important one. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that.
That's what it's about. Well, in this,
clearly going to the moon was the most important thing. It's not really, man. No, it is.
That's how we tell it here.
And you don't even notice the CGI in that scene. I bet you have no idea that there was CGI there.
You're
There's
right.
a lot of it.
Is there?
You're right. I had no idea.
It's not a scene you would expect to need CGI. You know, have you seen the Wolf of Wall Street CGI?
Yeah, you don't notice it.
Yeah.
What's the CGI in Wolf of Wall Street?
There's so much, and it's mostly scenery. Like the guy plays tennis at the federal penitentiary or something like that. And that whole scene, all the buildings and tennis courts and stuff is CGI. He's sitting on a boat negotiating, he's trying to bribe a federal agent or something. And then you see that same scene without the CGI. Oh my God, it's so crowded. There's houses. It's a lot less. It's more dense, so it doesn't look as rich.
Yeah, they add a lot of buildings in that scene, in a lot of scenes.
They're good at buildings.
Yeah, they add a lot of buildings, and you do not notice them.
I was hoping you'd say something ridiculous, do you know Jonah Hill's not even in that movie?
And when they went to HD, they remastered The Wire, of course. They went from the 4:3 to 16:9. Well, when you do that, you're seeing what they had it filmed on film, which is widescreen, and then they just cut the film, they cut the ends off of it and make it 4:3 for old school TV sets. Well, the part they cut off, a lot of times when they shoot, they're aware that, oh, well, that's going to be cut off. You can have a cameraman over there because this is the scene. This over here doesn't matter if there's a camera there. So when they go HD, it's like, oh, well, shit, there's a cameraman there now. So they're just CGIing out all of those guys, like wiping them out. That happens a lot.
I forget.
I'm sorry, I can't stop thinking about adult cartoon characters making cameos in Game of Thrones. It's like, but Marge, she knew the dragons were there. she knew the ballistas were there. She talked about it in the last scene. Homer, I don't think people want to think that much. They just want to enjoy a show. But Marge, I like the dragons.
And then, of course,
I think one of the worst like fighting tropes that you ever see in movies, and when you notice this will ruin almost every movie fight scene for you. I don't watch combat sports. I don't watch any of that shit. I don't know much what real fighting looks like, but I've seen a few MMA, a few UFC matches. You know what I've never seen in my entire life is I've never seen somebody beat up another guy so that he's like pretty fucked, and then take the guy and just throw him away from him. Like, I've never ever seen that before. You'd think that like, okay, well, now he's gonna get beat, he's gonna either choke him out or he's gonna break his neck or he's gonna do something to him. But instead they pick them up and they toss them away as far away from them as possible. And almost every single fight scene in a movie will have where they're tired and the guy picks him and just like throws them over the room. And it's like, man, I don't know. If there's like a full body, 220 pound fucking shredded fucking guy or whatever, honest to God, him picking me up and throwing me across him, that sounds like the nicest thing that he could do. Like, of all the possible things, of all the pains he could inflict on your body.
And it's hard.
Now he's thrown you out of range. So now another thing I'll do is I watch this in like big fight scenes where like you're supposed to be fixated on like a couple main people, is I like to watch for blows that are not at all like death blows or knockout blows, and watch for the extras that just trip and then are out of commission. And so like you see all the people like big fight, like Batman even will like grab somebody, like pull him close to his face, trip him and push him down. It's like that guy has been removed permanently from the fighting pool. He can no longer stand up and hit you from behind. He has tripped and he has to go back to base. And so like
he needs to respawn.
Like, tripping people, just giving half-ass shoves that like a bar bouncer would, and there's just a wake behind them, and there's no fear of someone standing up and being like, does he real? I mean, I fell on my ass. I'm not even all the way down.
Hurt, really. Like,
I'm fine.
I've taken bigger hits from a coffee table.
Movies are getting better at portraying fights, appropriately, because two reasons. Obviously, the prevalence of the UFC and like the average fan being like, bullshit. They're saying what we're all saying here, but also like they've gotten smart and they've actually started hiring guys who do fight to do the choreography instead of some like fake ninjutsu loser who's like, like, oh yeah. I mean, some movies have certain styles, right? So like,
yeah, like Old Boy.
If you're in like an alternate reality where people move faster than humans, it's like, okay, well, we're going to have a different kind of combat rules here. Like in The Matrix, for example, it's like, all right, this is going to be a different kind of fighting because like this guy is, superhuman and he's fighting superhumans, beyond superhumans. But, if there's just a street fight and it looks ridiculous, when people are like blocking, that's when I'm immediately like, okay, I've never seen a human being block a punch before in real life who wasn't wearing boxing gloves and like parrying. Like that's different. But
have you seen that? That movie Old Boy, right? Where there's that scene that people rave about, and it's a cool scene. It's like where he's going through the hallway and he's beating the shit out of people. But there are so many examples of that tripping shit in that scene where like one of the 60 people he's fighting in that horde, he'll just like grab him by the wrist and kind of pull him behind him. It's like, all right, you're done, son. Now there's one fewer person in front of me.
I like when he fights all those guys with a hammer in that movie.
In the hallway. Yeah, that
was a really cool scene because it was like a Scorsese kind of shot.
Because I'll say this: fist fight's one thing. You give a guy a hammer, all bets are off. Then when he hits somebody and they go down, you're like, all right, he's out of the fighting pool. He is definitely, because you hit me with a fucking hammer and I am out of the fighting pool. You show me a hammer and I'm out of the fighting pool.
He has a knife in his back. Why is he?
Because he's just so fucking determined.
He's fist fighting.
like 18 people with the knife in his back.
Have you ever seen that movie?
He's going to pull that out later and use it.
I think I've seen this scene before.
Yeah, the movie itself is really good. It's
Is
in
it?
subtitles.
you've never
can't
seen
be
it?
good.
You've never seen it? Oh, it has a famous ending. It is wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
We won't spoil it. If you guys haven't seen Old Boy,
I
watch
won't. I won't. Anyone who hasn't seen Old Boy, and don't watch the remake. Watch the original.
it. Yeah, the remake is pretty shit.
That is a dark ending.
I led with the remake when I first watched that movie because I was like, I don't want to watch the subtitle one. And I watched it and I was like, this must have been an abortion because I got to go back and watch the original one because there's no way I'm getting anything reminiscent of what people are impressed by with this.
Super wild. It's wild stuff.
Destiny, what have you been watching? Anything new and good? I'm always looking for.
I really want to go and watch movies again. I'm trying to watch more anime stuff now. I used to when I was a kid, and I haven't much recently. Just 'cause I don't have time. But it's hard to find time to like watch shows. There's so many shows that I need to see that I just haven't had the opportunity to. But like I've heard good things about like the first 2 seasons. I think of Suits. I really want to watch like Oz and The Sopranos and
Skip
I
Oz.
don't
No,
Yeah.
don't skip Oz. Oz
All right.
is
Let me give you like a
unbelievably
synopsis of
good.
Oz without a single plot point being ruined. These guys are in a federal penitentiary. I think it's federal.
yeah.
And they will give you glimmers of hope. Like, oh, things are going to work out for this guy or that guy. Or, okay, this episode is about redemption. It's not about that. It's about loss. The whole show is about loss. Inexplicable, unavoidable misery and loss.
And sometimes
Suffering,
surprise lost.
sometimes surprise loss. Like just when you think maybe a character is going to like have a good day, someone will shit in their mouths literally. Just when you think a character is going to have a good day, like they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to rape your wife on the outside. What can I do to stop you? Nothing. We'll send you. It's just like everyone suffers for no reason. It's all unavoidable. None of it is justifiable. There are no redeemed characters. None of the characters have redeeming qualities. They're all just, it's all about suffering and dick.
Yeah,
You're gonna
even the
see
guy.
more dick than you've ever seen in your life.
Oh yeah,
Okay?
you're gonna see a huge.
I
amount
watched
of
this
cool
right
stuff.
before I got arrested, by the way.
Oh no,
Jeez.
it is.
Yeah.
It is like a scared straight program. Like, I mean, this is only
Okay.
spoiling a one little scene in the first episode, but it's such an old show. This like. It's like usually when the character's introduced, like the main character, like, okay, this is going to be the guy that we're following through prison. And then, he gets into the prison and Schillinger, the head of the Aryan Brotherhood, is like, hey, you're a white fella in here. And we need to take care of you. We need to stick together. I've requested that you come to my cell. We'll watch out. And then like this new guy's like, thanks so much, man. Like, I got to be careful in here. It's like, no problem. We whites, we got to stick together. Right. And the guy's like, hi, okay. I guess I'm in prison now. First evening in prison, he has this guy bent over with his asshole spread, and he goes, "I'm tattooing a swastika here, so everyone knows you're Aryan property." Like a swastika right near his asshole with a pen, and this guy's just like, "I'm 9 hours into my 15-year stint, and it's going poorly." And you think like, all right, that might be his bottom. No, it continues to go down. It is a
That was high times for him getting.
That was
his ass-
before it got
ass tattooed.
bad.
that was one of his best nights in prison.
Yeah, no,
And it
check
was-
out Oz. Just know that it's all bad news.
It's
All
intense.
bad news. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's a terrible show.
No,
Any
it's not
other
a terrible show.
Watch
It's
any other show. I've been watching Mr. In Between on FX. I think FX makes some of the best shows out there. I loved Nip Tuck back in the day. I like The Shield a lot.
No,
these are-
Oz is better than. I mean, do you know why The Sopranos was booked as a show? It's because of Oz's success. Oz was their first
That's the one redeeming quality of Oz.
If there was no Oz, you would have no Sopranos. So I say, Kyle
Well, if
thinks
there
Oz
was-
is depressing as shit, and it is depressing sometimes, but it's just like it is a level of intensity in a show that is unmatched.
If
Have
it
you
was no
seen-
World War II, we wouldn't have like a lot of the technology we've got now. But I don't go talking about how great World War II was. I mean, I do, but in private, in our meetings where we wave at each other.
What was that, Destiny?
Have any of you guys seen The Wire?
I love The Wire. It's one of the best shows ever made. It's top 3 ever made.
I got bored.
I got similar feelings from The Wire that everything was hopeless. because even when they make progress, like you basically in all 5 seasons, every system of fucked upness is always self-perpetuating. And any individual actor that would try to buck the system to do something better would get destroyed by the system. And then even by the end of season 5, like everything was the same. Like nothing really changed.
Like The Wire. He likes Walking Dead so much. Like, what's another show where like Walking Dead is his first grown-up show, a first show where like shit happens. You know, Scrubs, grown-ups like it, but it's kid-friendly. Yeah. Walking Dead is the first show. He's 18, but he's special needs, so he's a little bit 8 and a little bit 18. It's tricky, and I don't know what else he would like.
I feel like The Wire is a really hard sell to people. Like usually when people ask me about The Wire, the first thing I say is like, it's really slow and really boring. Like, especially because like if people are coming in to The Wire, you've got to keep in mind when they think police shows, thinking like Law and Order SVU, or like these like really like every episode is like solved crime. It's like a drama thing. And The Wire is very much like a slow burn that is a very different type of show, I think, than anything else.
I fucking love it. I think it's the best
me
show
too.
ever made.
I do too. For sure.
Top 3 for me.
You know what
the episode at the port is the worst, or the season is the worst season.
With vodka.
With Sabaka.
I thought that season was okay. I appreciated it. I know a lot of people hated it.
I like it. I don't hate it. I just think it's the worst of the seasons. And
It was such a deceleration from season 1 that I was like, oh come on! Like I was getting used to the intensity of season 1, and then it just took steps back.
You never know what was going on at that time. And I have nothing to prove this, and I have done zero research, but that's not going to stop me. Like maybe there were people saying like, there's really not a lot of white people in the show, or maybe someone was saying, you're really making it seem like all criminals are black. Maybe something like that happened, and so they made that season and went in that direction, or maybe it was planned from the very beginning. In any case, this whole season was just like a bit of a diversion, because what I really wanted to find out more about was the main like crime thing that was going on with I'm spacing on the character's name.
Is it Baker?
No. You know, the two main black guys who are like running shit.
Stringer Bell and Barksdale, right?
Barksdale.
Yeah,
Avon Barksdale? Yeah.
Avon Barksdale and Stringer Bell. Yeah, they're the fucking stars of the show. And whenever I see them now in things, Idris Elba plays Stringer, but I can't remember the name of the other actor. But whenever I see them,
Wood Harris.
now, I really like both of them. They're great actors. I like that show so much. It's incredible. But Oz, just skip Oz. I promise you won't like Oz.
It's not a good. Oh, okay.
I get sick to my stomach watching it, and like I like all sorts of stuff, but I get literally nauseous, like grossed out, like upset by.
It's an intense show. It's a very. You said you'd seen Sopranos, right?
I have not. I haven't seen that one either.
Oh, well, you got
a lot of really good.
You got to lead with that one.
It's one of the better performances ever in television. What James Gandolfini did for Tony Soprano. It's very nuanced. At first glance, it can kind of seem that he's just playing the standard sociopath, but there's a lot more nuance there. He has all the hallmarks of a sociopath. This sort of over connection with children and animals. This love for them, while at the same time having a very difficult time forming meaningful relationships with most people. He's really out for himself. He justifies his crimes and his other violent actions away time and time again. But then there's this little bit of a different side of him that comes out occasionally that's really fascinating. There's an episode where there's I won't spoil anything, but like there's a pedophile. There's a pedophile, and that pedophile has been found out, and there's this question as to what to do about it. And Tony's friends are all like, "Oh, this guy's got to go. This guy's got to die. We're gonna have this pedophile killed." And Tony actually has it arranged. He's like, "Yeah, you go take care of this." And then the last minute he calls him. He's like, "You know what? No, don't do it. Call it off. He's like, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, don't do it." And Tony gets really drunk, and he's already on some medication, so it mixes with the medication. He stumbles into the house singing, and his wife like comes out, what's going on? He's like dancing with her, and he like falls on the floor, like laughing, just happier than you've ever seen him. And like he kind of holds her and looks at her, and he's like, I didn't hurt nobody. Like he's just overjoyed that he was able to, like, for once not be the sociopathic piece of shit. And it sort of shows you that, like, he's kind of become that. He wasn't made that. He wasn't born that. he's almost posing as a sociopath to get by in a world of sociopaths. I find his performance to be one of the best performances ever on television, for sure. It's really good.
And
I
it's
love
great
Tony as a character. I love him as a man. Like you're rooting for the bad guy every step of the way, and you are.
You know who?
Yeah,
Who's the guy with the haircut with the wings and big biceps?
Paulie Gualtieri.
I didn't appreciate Paulie as much in the first viewing, but over time, his laugh, he's bad. He's worse than Tony, but he's not more powerful than Tony, so it kind of slips under the radar, like he doesn't have agency, kind of. And
see, he's like a legit sociopath. Paulie is. Like, he enjoys being sent out to fuck people up, just like, and he doesn't even have to. He doesn't know. He doesn't ask when Tony tells him to go kill someone. He doesn't care. He's just like excited about it.
I like that character.
Syl, the one who's got like the weird fucking voice that's all retracted. Tony, I don't know if we should be, going and doing this right now. Like, whatever the fuck it would be. He's the one who also seems like he's faking being harder than he is because he's in that world. Like Syl and Tony, I got that vibe a bit.
I don't know. Syl seems like a real scummy guy, with all the usury. He
didn't like murdering people like Paulie did.
No, but we really had a thing with. I didn't like how he treated that 19-year-old stripper that time that Ralphie beat to death. I did like that line.
Well, Ralphie was the meanest character in the show.
Ralphie's the worst character in the show, and they make you like him somehow, which is great. There's that one scene where Tony asks Syl, he's like, "Do you think Ralphie's a little weird about women?" And he's like, "I don't know, Tony. He did beat one to death once." for what was it again? like nobody could remember why he had beaten her to death. They couldn't remember, and because there was no reason. Like Ralphie just came in and he's like, Tracy, she fell.
They go outside and her head is caved in with like.
They go outside and she's been beaten to death. Like, this man has just beaten this beautiful 19-year-old.
Jesus fucking Christ, Ralphie, what the hell are you doing? Like, he's just screaming at him out there.
Get a rug.
It's a great show. It's a great show. That one's highly recommended. And The Sopranos is like the best show ever, because I've never heard anyone be like, The Sopranos, didn't quite get me.
Yeah.
Didn't suck me in. Everyone loves The Sopranos.
There's so many characters that everyone finds a character that they can like root for or relate with to some degree. Like I think a lot of women really relate to Carmela, the wife, because she is a bit of like, she's a real guiding force behind Tony. Like she's the one kind of like trying to deal with the fact that her husband is a mob boss and justify that, and deal with the fact that that's what's paid for her entire lifestyle, while sort of reconciling that with her religious beliefs. But then after a while, she kind of comes into like, I remember the exact episode when it happens. It's the episode where they have that sort of like that speaker that shows up to talk about Italian women, and she starts bad-mouthing the mob, and and all the other girls are like sitting at Carmela's table, and they're like, "Can you believe those things she said with you sitting right there?" And Carmela's like, "What are you gonna do?" And that's a common thing that these Italians say, and that they say in the show. What are you gonna do? But the way she says it is very different than it's ever been said before in the show. She says, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And she just kind of like maintains eye contact, because she's saying, "What are you going to do about it, Gabby?" That's what she means, but it's very like under the radar and very understated. And she says it twice in a row. And Gabby gets up and goes and like screams at the fucking priest who had arranged for that lady to come and be their guest speaker and everything. It's a great show.
It's a great show. If you're not looking for something, this is newer, and Kyle and I like it a lot. I don't think Woody's watched it yet. It's only got 2 seasons up. It's Snowpiercer, the TV show. Really entertaining. I'm liking it a lot more than I thought I would. Obviously,
I don't know if you've seen the movie. Have you seen the movie Snowpiercer? Are you aware of the premise?
Is that a time? I think it's a time travel one, isn't it? Or is it?
No. So it's post-apocalyptic.
Never mind.
The governments of the world decided that to deal with global warming, they would spray this chemical into the atmosphere, and it worked way too well. And so the Earth has frozen over, and it's like negative 200 degrees outside. And so the solution is to get on this. This guy had a train that he had built to be like a luxury train ride around the entire world. but he was an eccentric like trillionaire, so he had like overbuilt it to the point where it was like capable of sustaining him and like all of his. It was like a never-ending pleasure cruise for him, where like it was self-sustaining, and so it's like the world's last life raft. It has everything that they need, and it's been running for like 10 or 15 years or something like that. When the story picks up, well, whenever everyone was boarding the train, all these people rushed on board who didn't have tickets, because the only people who have tickets are billionaires who could pay to help finance this incredibly expensive venture. Well, all these like blue collar, white collar, just regular folk end up on the train, and they put them in the back of the train in horrible living conditions. And like they're back there just grimy and greasy. They've resorted to cannibalism at times. They're almost tribal, and everyone else is ahead and various other cars. It's first class living. There's lobster and like filet mignon, and like there's a cart where it's nothing. It's there are nightclubs and like swimming pool cars and stuff like that. And that's what the movie's like. But they made a TV show somehow. I was surprised that they could make a TV show based on a premise like that, but it works. It's pretty good. Basically, there's a murder on the train, and they go back to the tail to these white collar, blue collar people who are like almost prisoners, and amongst them is the world's last detective, because he had stormed on the train, because everybody else is like, I don't know, an oil magnate or something like that. But back there's a fucking real deal police detective. So they pull him out, wash him up, and they tell him there's been a murder, and they want him to investigate. And in exchange, they'll give him grilled cheeses and a bath and stuff like that. And so he's kind of overjoyed with having a grilled cheese again, because he's been eating these gelatin bars made of cockroaches for the last 8 years or something like that. It's an interesting show. I certainly wouldn't put it up there with the other shows we've mentioned.
Well, definitely not.
It's a fun little diversion.
Yeah, that's what you need sometimes. Just fun little diversion shows.
For sure.
And I'm such a creature of habit, and I'm only like half paying attention. It's the same rigmarole of shows for me over and over. It's King of the Hill, Futurama, Simpsons, Family Guy, fucking Seinfeld, whatever.
Yeah. I can follow the same sort of patterns. This Mr. In Between show, I really hope you give it a shot, because
I will. I every night I'm saying like I'm going to watch that In Between, and then I'm like, nah, I'm going to read this Stormlight Archive series more. I've only got one more book.
The first couple seasons, the episodes are only like 22 minutes long. I think they expand them a little bit by the third season. It's really good, crazy violent. Everything FX makes is good in my opinion. Like Nip Tuck. You ever see Nip Tuck?
I heard of it.
It's wild. Nip Tuck is wild. It's two plastic surgeons in Florida. And I believe they moved to Hollywood by season 2 to like go to the big time where plastic surgery is the real deal. But like the deal is that one of them is literally like the best plastic surgeon in the world. And that comes in handy because occasionally someone gets terribly disfigured in the show, because the show is very violent, very weird. At times it's borderline incestuous with the way that like all the characters are fucking each other. Because there's a lot of sex, there's a lot of violence, and there's a lot of like close-ups of actual plastic facial surgery and stuff like that. So it's very bloody. There's a whole plot arc where like this criminal has dirt on them, and he makes them give him a new face to escape the authorities, because he's like a federal fugitive or something like that. There's a lot of just wild stuff going on.
It's free on Hulu right now.
Yeah, that's why I noticed that it was free on Hulu. Nip Tuck's very good. The Shield is one of my favorite shows ever. Another FX show. I think it was super popular back in the day. Chickless is another one of those bad guys. He's just a bad guy.
Jupiter's Legacy, the show you liked, got canceled. Yeah,
canceled.
It's the number one show, and it's canceled. Now it's not number one by like a lot, and it was expensive.
You know how much it cost?
$200 million? Does that sound right?
$200 million for one season of that show.
Damn.
It didn't look it. It didn't look like $200 million.
You think there was some thievery
behind
the scenes?
I mean, I could make a show for $200 million. I'd just make about $200 million profit.
Yeah. This is it. This is the show.
You've seen it.
You're looking at our $200 million.
$100 for an audio guy? What am I made of money? I have expenses too.
Jupiter Ride, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it got canceled. It's a shame because they did end it on a cliffhanger. But I didn't expect much else from Netflix. I figured it was 50-50. There's a lot of Netflix show. That's going to be the failure of Netflix, I think. That they keep making these shows and people get attached to them, and then they never really follow through. And I know the pandemic has been part of it, but like, what happened to Kingdom of Heaven? Remember the show where like Uhtred of Bebbanburg, the guy who was like his family was betrayed and he ended up being raised by Vikings, and then his Viking family was all killed, so he has enemies in the Viking world and enemies in the English world. It was a good show, and I like I've seen like 2 or 3 seasons of it, maybe three, I think. And he's on this like revenge arc where he's trying to take back his his family home, his castle, his lands. And I don't remember the last time they made an episode of that shit. And then just recently with Love, Death, Robots, right? The first season of that is incredible.
Yeah.
Love, Death, Robots is incredible. And it's these little bite-sized chunks, 13 to 15 minutes long.
YouTube videos.
8 minutes long. Yeah, one's 8 minutes long. The one about yogurt taking over the planet.
Okay.
Which is the most ridiculous premise you've ever heard until you watch the episode and you're like, all right, I get it. Yeah, the yogurt took over. Yeah. And it's funny, like how it begins with the voiceover. He's like, everyone made jokes when the yogurt first took over. It's like our leadership is curdled or like lots of like fucking yogurt jokes.
Yeah, a lot of puns.
But then things all change. Lots of puns. And you're like, how would the yogurt take over? And then they explain it. They explain how yogurt took over the planet. And you're like, oh, this is really cool. And the animation is different from episode to episode. You get some Pixar stuff, some sort of like Wallace and Gromit style stuff, some hyper realistic animation that's like so cutting edge that you're just like, fuck, the sweat droplets on Michael B. Jordan's face.
Dude, something about that like Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Little claymation. Yeah. I hate it. I don't like that one bit. There's something off-putting about claymation.
What were you gonna